This is your dose of daily market wisdom with master trader Nick Santiago. Starting from humble beginnings, Nick has been beating the markets for over 2 decades. He shares with you his take on the profitable trades that will have you moving towards financial freedom in no time at all. To see an in-depth review of his track record and much more, go to inthemoneystocks.com.
Welcome. This is your daily dose of daily market wisdom with master trader Nick Santiago. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today is 10/27/20. This is show number 146. Well, Nick, hey, yesterday was quite a bloodbath on the street.
Yeah, it really was. We had a pretty good sell-off, but the irony is that the market actually came back towards the end of the day a little bit. And today, it's kind of hanging in there. It's not a strong day by any stretch. We do have a mixed tape. We have the Dow down about 0.3%. The Russell's down about 0.1%. Looks like the Nasdaq is positive by almost 0.6%. And then you have the S&P flat on the day now. So, market hung in there yesterday afternoon. It came back a little bit. It was still an ugly session all the way around. You had a bloodbath decline earlier in the day. And most industry groups were lower. So yesterday was what we call a 90% down day. That means 90% of the equities out there were lower on the session. And usually we get a little bit of a snapback from that the following trading day. So we'll see what we wind up with today. But again, as I've stated, traders and investors should expect the unexpected over the next week as we head into the elections. There could be some more erratic moves and lots of geopolitical events could still take place here over the next 7 days. So just remember, 2020 has been one of the most chaotic trading years in history, and the election is really just a cherry on top of the sundae. So again, just look at the best charts, take only those trades, and don't overexpose yourself until the election is done.
Yep, that's it. Hey, we got an interesting thing, interesting comment. We don't get into politics that much, hopefully, on the show, because we're really about the markets and about your finances. But the fact is, somebody said, well, Trump gets all these people coming out. Biden doesn't get anyone, but 50% of the people or more hate Trump and will show up just to defeat him. I don't know that it's enough. Hate generally is not the best motivator.
Yeah, I wouldn't say so. My fear is not so much that it will be hate versus liking somebody or anything like that. That will be the motivator. I can't see that doing it. It's just who turns out and do we have a fair election? It's really what it comes down to. I mean, we've seen ballots in the dumpster. We've seen ballots in garbage pails. We've seen people caught, already cheating on the mail-in ballots. That's really what it comes down to. And then do these polling machines or do these voting machines have accurate software in them? I've seen in the state of Massachusetts, I was reading something where there was a primary and it was, a rigged machine. So I think, you have to be a little bit aware of that as well. But I mean, it's overwhelming. I see these Trump rallies, even here in the state of Florida where I live. I mean, they're massive. There are rallies when the president doesn't even show up. They're massive. And, you see these Biden rallies. I mean, sometimes there's nobody there. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. So, you would think looking at that it would be a landslide. But again, we'll see what happens here. I've never been a fan of this mail-in voting. And, we'll see how that takes place.
Yeah, well, one thing, we've got a new Supreme Court justice in there, and that could shut down all of these things. The one takeaway from Gore versus Bush, or Bush versus Gore, was that the court's ruling in that case is that you can change the rules, but you can't change the rules midstream, in the middle of an election. They're using COVID as an excuse to change the rules, and really just it's an emergency, so we can do whatever we want. And I don't know. I'm just as a recovering attorney, I'm just not buying that. Rules are rules. They're there for a reason. If you want to change them, fine. Change them in the years leading up to the election. Don't change them on the literally on the doorstep of the election.
It sounds like climate change a little.
Yeah. Yeah, well, hey, we've only got less than 11 years, Nick.
Yeah, I know. That's what I've been told.
Yeah, so you better make your plans now. Eh, Anyways, so as far as earnings go, what are we looking at here?
So we have lots of companies reporting earnings tonight. We're going to have Microsoft reporting after the closing bell. That's probably the big one. But I think an even bigger story today, which we should touch on, is semiconductor giant Advanced Micro Devices (AMD) is buying Xilinx for $35 billion in an all-stock deal. Now, this could start down the road a little bit. This could start some M&A activity. So this is a big takeover in the semiconductor sector. And again, if we start to get M&A activity in this industry group coming up, I mean, that could lead to another rally. So again, very, very hard to try to short any semiconductor stocks if they're takeover candidates. And again, that could start to happen. So once in a while, we get some big deals out in the semiconductor sector. This is a real big one. So we'll see what happens. But overall, I think, you got to watch these charts here. There are going to be a lot of semiconductors I'm going to be looking at that I think are candidates. So I'll be watching the charts, going through them this week pretty closely at some of these other semiconductors that could be bought out.
Hey, one thing I was watching on a YouTube, the proposed Biden tax plan. He's going to up the capital gains rate from 21 to 28%. And hey, if he is elected next week, that's going to lead to a massive sell-off in the market, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it will. It definitely by next year. So that's even if it doesn't happen initially right away, it'll happen. It'll happen by next year, early next year, January. Just think about this. Also, is if you make over $400,000, your taxes will go up 16%. I mean, you're just crushing every entrepreneur out there. You're crushing the chance of anybody trying to get wealthy that is not wealthy. It's just really it's just a backward tax plan. And again, you're seeing a lot of people starting to say it. I think we covered a little bit with the rapper 50 Cent. He would turn into 19 cent if that plan went through, and he turned around and said, "I'm not voting for this guy. I'm voting for Trump." And I think some other celebrities and some other rappers came out yesterday and said the same thing. I mean, you're just killing any kind of growth out there from investment. It's just a terrible, terrible thing. I'm fully against it. I think it's the worst move anybody could make. But again, this is what we're up against, and it's amazing how they pin the wealthy versus the non-wealthy. But if you live in a state like New York or California, believe it or not, $400,000 income is not that high of an income, and I just really, really find it troubling that this is actually probably going to go through.
Yeah, it's really rather shocking, but hey, that might be what turns the election. In addition, upping a lot of small business owners make 400 and up, and these small businesses now from the pandemic, they have been struggling and they're really having a hard time of it. So you're taxing these companies upping their taxes at exactly the worst possible moment.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. You raised, and another thing people don't understand in the United States, or at least a lot of people do, but some don't. I've spoken to a few people. If you raise the corporate tax rate from 21 to 28, what you do is you are going to take all of these foreign companies that have been pouring into the U.S. to do business, because we are probably the best place to do business now with a 21% corporate tax rate. You're going to leave. You're going to go somewhere else. You're going to say it's not worth being here. And again, I just don't understand it for the life of me. But again, that's what that side seems to do. They just I've never seen a tax that they don't like to raise.
Yeah. Hey, it's a party of big tax, big spending. The Republicans now, they're just a party of big spending, at least, right?
Yeah. The Republicans are big spenders. The Democrats are big spenders. But again, if you have low taxes, there's a way that at some point you could probably start to nibble it off and start to pay it down. If you have high taxes and big spending, it's really over. There's no way to grow at all. And again, the central bankers will just be in there printing more and more money, and that'll be a bullish catalyst for gold.
All right. Hey, and that brings us to our next topic here. So gold, silver taking a little bit of a decline, not really substantial over the past several days. It's up a little bit today.
Yeah, gold futures today up 3. Silver futures today up about 0.2%. Again, we're just getting that backing and filling, just day after day. That's what we seem to get. There's no real conviction up on the upside nor on the downside. But what I will say is, though, that this is a healthy pattern. I mean, if anybody is looking at gold right now, this is really what you want to see. You want to see a longer consolidation base being formed, and that's exactly what's happening.
Yep. And at some point, it's going to break out in all likelihood, no matter who gets elected. I mean, Trump has been great for gold and silver. That's a fact. And Biden probably would be even better. But as far as the country goes, another matter altogether. Well, that is it for today. Go over to inthemoneystocks.com. Take a look at Nick's trading record. The Twitter feeds are at ITMS, at Nick Santiago 01, at Kerry Lutz. Email us, kl@kerrylutz.com. And Nick, we'll pick up tomorrow.
Sounds good, Kerry.
And so concludes another episode of Daily Market Wisdom with Master Trader Nick Santiago. Be sure to go to his website, inthemoneystocks.com. Don't forget the Twitter feeds at ITMS and at Nick Santiago 01.